Always loved the physical traits of the quarterbacks, of
Yeah.
course, the big quarterbacks. They
Right.
can throw hard, strong arms. Your next quarterback can do a lot of those things really well, but
Yeah.
you would never look at him and say, this is the physically gifted quarterback. But you have always liked this quarterback, even though he's not the typical Chris Simms
That's right.
quarterback.
Right. Well, listen, the dude can play. Guy's got game, and he's got skills. And just because it's not the strongest arm or the fastest guy in football doesn't mean I don't think he's awesome. Yeah, Joe Burrow, number 2, mofo. That's right.
Number 2 in the entire NFL.
Number 2 in the entire NFL. Joe Burrow is awesome. I mean, and I think the thing I would start off by saying is nobody plays traditional QB in the NFL better than Joe Burrow, right? That's where I'd go. He's the most surgical QB in the NFL. For 2023, nobody plays the position or QB better than Burrow. When you talk about timing, footwork, rhythm, lightning quick decision, precision passing, that's Joe Burrow. He plays the position the way the position was intended, right? It just feels like Bill Walsh and Joe Gibbs and Mike Shanahan and Mike Holmgren and Don Coryell all like, give me some tape of Joe Burrow so I could teach my quarterbacks how to play quarterback, right? That's who he is. He's unreal that way. And yes, I mean, he plays in the pocket, but it's pocket plus like you talked about. And I just think when you talk about, again, a guy that diagnoses defenses and makes the appropriate throw, it's as fast as anybody I've seen. I mean, it's can be up there with the Bradys and the Mannings of the world. That's what we're talking about here in that department. And then his arm is stronger than people think. And as I said, Herbert was mechanically awesome. As I started to watch him, I went, oh, actually, Burrow's even mechanically awesomer. Right? That's where he's amazing. Burrow is just an assassin right now in the NFL.
So you describe him as just the best traditional quarterback and consistent, and his numbers are incredibly similar the past couple of years. And he didn't throw as much down the field this past year, hurt his average per completion. But this is a quarterback that was the most sacked in 2021, was up there again this year, had 10 fewer sacks this year, but was still, maybe that was because of him and getting the ball out of the pocket quicker.
I think so.
Does the way he play lend him to being more consistent than even your number 1 quarterback and Josh Allen, like we just talked about? Like,
sometimes there might not be the valleys, right?
Got it.
A little bit right there, where we've had games where Mahomes and Allen, and we just go, man, what the hell were they doing in the second half of that game? It just becomes a little too much. Like, I can fit it in there. I can make this play. I can make that play, right? He doesn't seem to have that. Or if he does, like he had it in week 1 last year against the Steelers where he threw 5 interceptions, but like 3 of them were like the most unbelievable defensive plays in the world. It wasn't like he was trying to do something crazy. I mean, one of them, he's trying to throw a slant route, and TJ Watt just jumps up and is like, raw, and catches the ball. It wasn't like, oh, that was crazy by Burrow, right? So, yeah, that's where, again, it's a deep conversation. And that's where, like, we got into a few weeks ago with Carson Palmer, right? He talked about, like, I think he's the best quarterback in football, right? He's
That's
made
what he
some
said
comments.
about Joe Burrow.
He said that about Joe Burrow. And I think a lot of traditional, QB people would look at that, and there would be some that agree with him there. My thing would be you don't have to play the position by the book anymore to be the best at it. There's more ways to skin the cat than there used to be, right?
People have colored outside the lines now and expanded what it means to be a quarterback.
Exactly right. I mean, Josh Allen or, Mahomes or anybody, right? We're talking about. But, yeah, I don't think anybody works the system more, or the offensive system more to their advantage than Burrow, right? And then his ability to work the pocket is special. And he makes a ton of plays outside the pocket, too. That's where I don't want people to think we're sitting here and talking about a guy that's like, oh, he's system quarterback. No, this is way more than that. It's just like for 2023, he's the most systemish of the quarterbacks. But, man, there's still, you were making fun of me. You heard me on Florio today. He's a slippery SOB.
Yeah. Well, and you don't even necessarily like the system, right? So if he was a system quarterback, that means he's just running the system. You think sometimes he elevates this offense to even better than what the system says it should be.
Agreed. And I feel like at the end of the year last year, they started to color outside the lines as an offense altogether a little bit. I think hopefully that'll only improve. But yeah, there's been times where it's been a little too basic, West Coasty, right? But man, his ability to just make it work It's second to none. I mean, I talked about he still makes a ton of plays outside the pocket and the movement and all of that, but it's the incredible blend of system, and then you add on the one-on-one ball that he can do too, right? I think he's up there in the conversation for the best deep thrower in football. I mean, again, the amount of times he throws it up there at Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and it ends up being like, oh, it's a touchdown, or oh, it was on the money. I mean, it's amazing. It's like there's glue or like a string that attaches him. And he's great at that. And like we talked about during the season, any season, yeah, he wants to work the system or the concept with the 3 receivers. But if he looks over there and number 1's got a guy on him that he doesn't deem to be really special, then that guy's about to get his ass torn up, because he's going to throw a back shoulder to Jamar Chase, a go route to Jamar Chase, a slant route to Jamar Chase, and he's going to work you that way too. So he's not like so system-y playbook, I don't want it to be portrayed like that is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Do you think he's number 1 in the NFL at reading defenses?
I do.
Pre-snap and during the play.
And to your point, I think the first 10 or 12 weeks this year, the pass protection might have been worse than it was the year before, where you said he led the NFL in sacks. But I think this is where Joe Burrow is amazing. From 2 years ago, he made the adjustment of, I'm going to find ways to throw the ball harder. I feel like this year he went, I don't give a shit. I'm not going to let the pass protection, it's not going to beat us. I'm not. And he has just like a sixth sense of wait, I'm dropping back to pass. Ooh, I can feel the right, defensive tackle or defensive end is kind of getting on me. Let me get it out quick and just stay ahead of the chains. Instead of maybe as a rookie, he would have patted the ball and be like, wait, something's about to come open. Boom, I get sacked and whatever else, and now it's 2nd and 18. But he always keeps them in a good position. And then his no nuance of knowing defenses and where they should drop or go. It's like if you take one false step or your eyes move one way, he's so quick to see it and go, oh, wait, you voided that area. Here's the ball. Boom, go, run. And throwing the ball on the money to where guys can run and never break stride. That's where he's amazing. He really is. Talk about his toughness. We know that because of what we're talking about. I mean, come on. We've seen Mahomes the year they lost to the Bucs in the Super Bowl is the only thing in recent history that I can find comparable of a team that was really good with a great quarterback where I go, the protection was below average NFL standards, and we still go, they'll win. They're going to win. Mm-hmm. They're going to be in the playoffs. They're going to win playoff games. And, it got better at the end of the year. I don't want to say that.
Well, it did, and then they got hurt, right?
And then they got hurt.
So they've added Orlando Brown to that offensive line, and hopefully health with Jonah Williams and Alex Kappa. And so, they could be improved in that area, and then watch out.
Exactly. Watch out. No run game last year, right? Run game last year was worse than the year before. Mixon had 1,000 yards 2 years ago. This last year, I think he barely got over 1,000, right? 2 years ago, I think he was top 2 or 3 in the NFL in rushing yards. So, there wasn't there. You talk about the big plays and all that. Jamar Chase was hurt a little bit this year, too, so he missed some time. He wasn't, I think, as explosive as he could be.
Run game wasn't as good for them this year.
Right.
Joe Mixon took a step back.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I was reading online some recent articles about him, and there was this one that came up from Willie Anderson, a former Bengals lineman, 4-time Pro Bowler, and he was talking about Burrow, and this is what he said on this podcast. He goes, I want to thank you as a former lineman, is what he said to Burrow. How you handle yourself during a game with your offensive lineman. As offensive linemen, we always look to see which quarterback is really cool with his guy, which offensive linemen really ride with their quarterback. And I think you mentioned Jalen Hurts as being perhaps the best leader at any position in the NFL. And our number 1 quarterback is a good leader too, and I think all these guys are pretty good leaders. But I think Joe Burrow's got some special, unique qualities there of rallying the troops. And I don't know if he's on the doorstep there with Hurts, but he's pretty close.
I think so. Maybe Hurts is so good with his day-to-day messaging and what he says at the podium, and just he's so great with that. Right, so maybe we don't have as many sound bites with Burrow.
Yeah, Joe's a unique individual, but he just
when he speaks, you listen, and it's when he speaks, it's not just like bullshit coming out of his mouth. It's thought out. That's the one thing I know from being around him a little bit. Dude's smart. Dude's like
he has no hidden. You know the thing that strikes me? He has like no hidden agenda.
Exactly
it's just like
right.
he just lets it fly.
Exactly right. That's why I love him. I love him. And where I'll say he ups Hurts, and I think him and Mahomes have this, right? I mean, ice in the veins, team's never out of it. We know that, right? Great deep ball thrower. But I'm not sure any team believes in their QB more than Burrow other than the Chiefs and Mahomes, right? I think he has the most effect on his locker room where they're like, who? We're playing the all-decade team of the 90s? Oh, it's okay. We got Burrow. We'll probably be able to hang, right? We got Mahomes. Oh, okay. Like, I don't think anybody has that effect. I mean, when your team can start to make jokes and call it Burrowhead Stadium and shit like that, that's when you know they got confidence in you. We're going to call it Burrowhead Stadium on the team that's been in the AFC Championship game 5 years in a row and won the Super Bowl and do all that. But we're going to, like, that just tells you what they think of that guy. And then that's where, there's a magic about him overall that is it's palpable. And I saw it in person last year when I was hanging around with him a little bit.
So he is currently second in the MVP odds.
Yep.
To Patrick Mahomes, and let's just do it right now. One more thing.
I didn't hit one negative with him.
Oh,
right. I got to show my one negative with him.
Okay.
Is he can be too West Coasty, right? To be West Coasty. I know you heard me say this right before the show, where, I'd like to see him like Mahomes and Allen. I know. Hey, you heard me talk about. Hey, there's a formula to playing quarterback. Hey, we run this play. We take 5 steps. The first read, you take a hitch. Second read, 2 hitches. Third read, 3 hitches. You try to listen to that to give yourself a gauge and a mental clock. Right. That's to me where Burrow. And again, this is tough because he hasn't been protected well. Mm-hmm. So he's always probably erring on let me just get it out. But there are plays as I went back and watched throws yesterday where I just go, don't be so by the book. I know it says 5 steps and 1 hitch and throw to this guy, right? All right. A second hitch, go to this guy. But there's a few where I go, you see it. The first guy is about to be open for 25, and you are taking your second hitch. And I know that's what you're coached to do. Mm-hmm. But the second hitch, throw it to the guy at 25 yards down the field, right? That'd probably be my only negative about him at all, right? Other than that, the dude is pretty flawless. Yo, thanks for watching, homies. It's the off season, but there's no off season for us here at Unbuttoned. Me, Ahmed Fareed, we're going to hit all the stories. So hit subscribe for us, okay? We got a ton coming up. My draft prospect rankings, my Simms top 40 quarterback countdown, and videos of me and NFL QBs playing catch and talking about their development and mechanics. Again, thanks for watching. Remember to subscribe. Peace out, homies. See you soon.